Welcome to Michelle's Life on Repeat. I'm Michelle, and I have chronic illnesses, but I try not to let that get me down. I keep myself busy, my hands and my mind, with my orchid hobby. Join me as I repot up some new orchids from Brookside Orchids. I'm trying to remove most of the sphagnum moss because in the Northwest here, my conditions just don't dry out that much because I'm changing her while she's in bloom. But I'm trying to be delicate. Gently pull out some of that packed sphagnum moss. I'll rebox her up with some bark and sphagnum moss and perlite. There's a lot of healthy roots on here. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just gently teasing out between the roots the sphagnum moss. The top part has algae on it. I struggled with a migraine for the last three and a half days. It kind of goes down a little bit. And then it peaked again last night, and I'm feeling really nauseous right now. And there's no reason to be nauseous. That tells me I need to take some pills pretty soon so I don't get tremendous head pain. But doing this takes my mind off of it. So maybe after I get this one all plucked clean, I'll take some pills. Chronic illness, chronic migraines is what I struggle with, along with a few other things. I say this takes my mind off of it. Every morning I water my plants and I do just a little bit of care, and kind of gives me a purpose. Something to take my mind off the fact that I can't do all the thousands of things that I would love to do once again. I got to hear last night from one of my children. That was nice to hear his voice. It's been a couple of weeks since I heard from him, and months since I heard the voice of my other son who's far away in the Air Force. I'll finish getting this all cleaned up and come back to you. Now I just gotta kind of see what pot is best for her. I think from what I'm learning on all my videos I watch is that they don't like it when you change the medium while they're in bloom, so they'll probably pout and a lot of their roots may die, and then they'll have to restart growing again. So I think some of these pots will be too big. That one, this one's a little bit smaller. I'm gonna use that one, this one, the smaller one. If you think that was not a wise decision and you know orchids much better than I, please let me know. I'm putting in some of my mix that I have of small bark, perlite, and charcoal. At the bottom, I actually chose the bigger one. At the bottom, I put big chunky bark so it wouldn't go rotted. I can see the roots over here needing a little more cushion. Reminds me of being a kid playing in the mud pies. My nickname when I was a little girl was Mud Shell. I was always playing in the mud just because it was fun. I survived. I survived the germs. I ended up going up and taking one of my stomach nausea pills. So I'm hoping that kicks in. Here we go. I think she's all snug in this pot now. Let's see about the roots on this second one, the Cattleya. I soaked it a little bit, and now we're just gonna dump out by squeezing. And she looks pretty good. Likes the bark. The reason I dump it out and look is I'm looking for snails. I'm looking for dead roots. I really don't want to put this in if it's going to be all moldy, just leaving it in the old bark. So just checking everything out. The last one did not have any death or any smell or any critters. This one smells a little on the ripe side. So I will take it to the sink, rinse off the last of these, and there's a few dead roots that I'll have to trim off, and then I'll transplant it back up to another pot. I've got rubbing alcohol in my spray bottle here. Get my scissors sterilized. I'm just gonna also spray this with hydrogen peroxide. I just put a hose sprinkle top with it. Make sure there's no snails. There are some dead roots, so here we go. If they're mushy, brown, smush like paper, peel apart and leave you just with the root and the velamen comes off, then they're bad. They won't all be green if they were tucked deep in the middle of the plant. They never saw the sun. They probably never turned green. So a white root isn't necessarily a dead root. Put brown and mushy. That's what they say. If it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Take off the dead. It's a lot more death on this than I thought there was. Wonder how long it's been in those barkly barks. There's still bark stuck to some of these, and that's okay because I'm going to put it back in a bark. I'd rather it try to live with the growth around it than ruin it by cutting it off. Cut a good one off. Whoops. That happens, huh? I see four little new roots. I'll show you up close in just a second. Let me get this one dead thing I'm working on. Okay, let's see if you can see those new roots when you get in there. There's one on the top. There's 3 of them there, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm excited. May it grow, grow, grow. What's on the back side of my leaves here? Some bark. Yeah. I sprayed down some neem oil on the outside of the leaves when I get them, just to make sure there's no critters. Looks like she's ready to be barked. Let's see, barked back up. Those tips, well, the bark, where the bark fell off, are not good. I'm losing my vocabulary words. I guess a migraine is coming. Oh well. What are you gonna do differently, right? Well, I hope this one does well after it's been trimmed so much. All right, now let's find out what pot. That smaller one would hold her perfect and give her room to grow. So I think I will use that smaller one. I got some bark in here. I also have stones in there. I figured if they grow on a tree or in rocks, they can handle an inorganic stone. So now I'll just fill in around her. Looks like the newest growth is in the back, and those roots are all in the back. So I'll try my darndest to give more room in that area. For more growth in mixed up a bunch of my miscellaneous pieces of potting mediums. So I think most of this is medium sized, a couple of small sized bark chips with the occasional pretty stone in there and some sphagnum moss. Trying to get it secure so it doesn't flippity flop. I don't have a light hand. I'm kind of rough. I figure if they can handle me at the beginning, they'll be able to handle me in the end. Let's see over here. Let's see if I have any air pockets. Looks pretty good. Well, I'll put some water in her and I'll try not to move her. There we go. Number 2 done. I like to go to the secondhand shops picking out my vases. This one is a beautiful crystal Mikasa. I'm sure someone paid $200 for that to give it as a wedding gift to somebody, and it ended up at Goodwill eventually. But that's what I'm going to put this big one in. I didn't pay $200 for the vase, but I can sure appreciate its value when I put my orchid in it. So I'll get it in a new pot and put it in there. So I got my scissors and I do that initial snip, and then I just hold my thumb and look to make sure I'm not cutting roots, and kind of wedge it under and flip it up, push it up, and I try to take chunky pieces off like that. Look how tight those roots are. Can you see that? Let's keep going. I'll push down the roots and pull up on the scissors and do my best to salvage what I can. There we go. We're getting somewhere. It's like opening a can of sardines. There we go. There we got some leeway now to get her out. Can you believe that? It looks like a bundle of cooked noodles. There are so much going on in there. So much. I'm afraid to even know what's at the core in the middle. How am I gonna get to it? Slow and steady. I think this one's gonna soak in a pot tonight. And then we'll see how we can maneuver to see what is in the middle of all this. It could have been a plug from when it was a baby, and that will start to kill the roots on the inside. Absolutely at a loss on what to do with this fully compacted. I can squish it. I can hear that it's moss on the inside and that it's full. I just can't get to it. And I'm wondering if it's all right to leave it. I'm sure I'm doing damage to some of the roots in here. I even have a little plastic orange peeler. Trying to scoop some of this up, but all I hear is crick, 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 and I'm assuming that's the roots cracking that I'm coming across. This thing is thick. If I just put it in a pot and call it up potting to a bigger pot that she'll span her roots out, I'll ask the unibrain, the orchid unibrain, what should I have done with this thing that I'm posting online already that you're watching right now? I will pull it a few more times, and then I think I'm just going to pot her like she is in a bigger pot. So here are the 3 all potted up. The big one, I have to pray over her. I don't know if she'll make all that transition well. The Cattleya in the middle, the other Oncidium on the end, and the 2 Dendrobiums are hanging up on my wall. Let me show you.